I wanted to start off the show. I mean, I want to apologize in advance to all the writers out there because we've been on hiatus because of the writer strike, and we're gonna see how we're gonna do without writers here. So,
Wow, that is some fabled bullshit right there. Oh my God. Woo!
I mean, if you're wondering why we've been so amazing all this time, it's because we have excellent
It's
writers.
it's it's and a
And,
lot of them, I might add,
well, and especially Josh, who's the leader of the group, he actually has taken them out, and they're currently walking the streets.
I they're currently walking the streets. Yes, yes. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Uh-huh, uh-huh. It's quite a team.
Josh and Sally, my two favorites. Anyway,
Yes.
oh, what was the other thing? Oh, what have you been up to? Because it's been like a while since we've
What have,
recorded anything.
what have I been up to? It has been a really, really, really busy year. Um, First of all, there was that thing in Pig Hill in Pennsylvania.
Yes, yes.
And then there was that thing in Virginia, which I still to this day have no idea what that was. I mean, it had to do with teaching underprivileged kids underprivileged filmmaking, and
Well, you got to give back, right?
I guess yeah, okay.
Is this your volunteering
Wait,
for,
wait, wait. Let me check with my writer.
wait, you have a writer?
That is correct.
I thought they were on strike.
Well, yeah. No, what do you mean?
Well, I usually have a script right here. See,
I see. I see. He's actually my chef.
we're just winging it. At least I
Yes.
am.
Yes.
Beauty and the Beast. This was so this is a movie I've never seen. I'm really sad that I didn't see it as a child because I think it would have been interesting to see it as a kid. But I saw it for the first time recently, like 2 days ago. And it's based on the Beauty and the Beast story, which is a French fairy tale that was written in like the 1500s, I think. Or no, it was the 1700s. It was 1700s, but it's kind of based on this couple that existed back in the 1500s. There was this hairy man and this woman. I did some research, and it's really strange. I can't remember the person's name right now, but anyway, it's about a beautiful young woman takes her father's place as a prisoner of a mysterious beast who wishes to marry her. Does that sound familiar? Sounds like Beauty and the Beast by Disney.
It does. It sounds like Beauty and the Beast.
And actually, one of my favorite lines, I'm going to kick it off with this one.
Okay.
Love can turn a man into a beast, but love can make an ugly man more handsome.
See? Do you like that?
Oh, God. Well,
So
wow.
you're saying you wouldn't hire me for your next movie as an actor?
No. I mean, the thing is the kids are too old to have clowns at their parties. So
Okay, wait. Oh, it was the real life couple, a hairy guy and his wife, Catherine Gonzalez, and the guy's name was Petrus, and he was hairy. He was one of those guys that had that syndrome where they hair all over the face.
yeah.
So somebody 1700 saw this and said, "I'm gonna write a story about that." Anyway, French guy or woman. I don't know who wrote it.
This film, the film that we're talking about, is called Beauty and the Beast. It's
Yes.
the French version.
1946.
It was done in 1946. It's kind of a surreal black and white.
It's a fairy tale.
It's kind of a cross between a play and a movie, right? Think American Playhouse, that kind of look, right?
I didn't think of it that way. See, I thought of it as kind of a surreal movie, like almost like.
Yes.
So you can tell this director was very inspired by Georges Méliès,
Magritte,
Trip to the Moon.
a lot of
A lot of camera
absolutely.
tricks and
Dr. Caligari,
Yes.
A lot of in-camera tricks, a lot of the thing that was interesting to me was how many relationships this had to Disney films that came later. It for one thing, it must have been. I have a feeling that it influenced probably at least 7 to 10 films.
Well, more than that. I mean, there's a lot of versions of Beauty and the Beast that probably based it on this. Actually, Disney. There's a trivia I saw on IMDb. There's trivia that said that Walt Disney saw this movie and he wanted to remake it, but he didn't think he could come close to. I guess he really liked this one, so he said he didn't think he can come close to it.
But here's the thing. The thing is if the plot of this one was kind of all over the place, and the thing is it had elements in it that you will see later on Disney used for Cinderella.
Well, actually, I don't think. Maybe I disagree on that a little bit because I felt like it wasn't all over the place. It was pretty linear to me. But they did jump from set to set, I guess, or from.
Well, what I'm
it was
talking
like a
about,
sitcom.
I'm talking about that. Their Beauty and the Beast story had a lot of elements that that Disney splintered off into different films.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah. No, I can see that, but yeah.
I mean, for instance, they weren't clear about it in this.
Well, later on, you had Cinderella. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you had.
Yeah. I mean, that was a good example.
I said one example was Cinderella. Another example would be kind of Rapunzel. I mean, there's so many elements in there that it looked like Disney went in and just snatched elements out of it. Like in this, how much I can understand Walt Disney not wanting to try and do another real life version of it.
Well, he was talking about doing the animated, and he was still nervous about it.
Right. But doing the animated and because they actually like for instance, when you walk in to the castle, to the Beast's castle, the concept of everything in the castle, all the servants had been turned into, different objects.
It was an enchanted castle.
But the enchantment was done so interestingly because it was basically done in using humans, actors, as different
little boys and little girls as statues and stuff.
As different, statues, but also using them as plates, using them as centerpieces and the centerpiece
the candelabras
would actually be scooping up your soup and putting it in your bowl, and that that the concept of the row of lights, the
candelabras were, that was it. By the way, that was like one of the most amazing shots was when she was running in slow motion through the candelabras and you could see the drapes billowing a little bit. It was amazing.
Right. But you have all these people standing here with the
they're lighting the candles are lighting.
They just stuck their arms through a flat, and on the other side of the flat they're standing there, and when they got back, it was really interesting because they must have had a wall that was 40 feet long that just had holes in it that people stuck their arms through. And
were those glory holes, would you call them, or were they just armholes?
Glory holes for giants.
Oh, so
the size of my arm. So anyway, you would put your arm through and you would be holding a light.
I like how they reversed it. It was, so they magically lit.
But then they turn around and you get, all these characters that talk that are more animated. So Disney kind of upped it because he was able to use animation.
See, I'm not so sure that the Disney movies were really influenced that much by this movie, because what Disney did well, which he started in 1937 with Snow White, he would take public domain fairy tales,
right?
Because if you look at it's Snow White, it's really not that much different than this one. but that was way before this one was made.
Yeah. And,
So,
and,
but
and
I
the
think
mirror
that
was in there. So
that's what
maybe
the
one
genius
person
is
was
at
stealing
Disney.
from another that was stealing from another that was
Yeah.
stealing from another.
I mean, is it coincidence that there was a movie made recently that was in public domain, Stars Born?
Yeah,
Is that a coincidence? I
there's
was thinking about that earlier. I'm like, isn't
there's a
that
tiger
just?
that comes up every once in a while, you know.
But it's like weird that all these movies that are in public domain are starting to be remade now, which I think is interesting. But anyway,
But
that's the brilliance of Disney. Public
yes,
domain fairy tales.
but one of the elements of that is that Disney kept pushing back, and what Disney would do is they would make something that was in public domain, and then they
And take
would
the
push,
copyright, right?
and then they would push the copyright laws up.
Yep.
Until they got to 70 years, and they haven't been able to convince anybody in Congress to move them to 100.
Well,
right?
I think Beauty and the Beast is now in public domain.
That's what I'm saying. Is it was 70 years, and part of the reason that you're seeing as many things come back in from public domain is that's 70-year limit. The 70-year limit has put us into stuff that is more mainstream,
right,
and less experimental, less the very beginnings of film, and more into,
yeah, we're in like the 40s now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the 40s now. Geez, the thing is we could do a copy.
His Girl Friday is in the public domain, I think.
What's Orson Welles' big main film?
Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane could be redone.
Yeah,
could be redone completely. Shot for
that's
shot
a really
now.
scary thought. I mean, I have a problem with remakes, and especially Disney remakes. They're f***ing all their stuff up with these live action remakes. Well, I mean, did anybody want a Lion King that was live action?
Yeah,
really?
No! About that, because the thing is what they're doing is they're remaking their own. They're remaking pieces off their own remake of something that was in the public domain, right? So yeah, who cares? I mean, it's
they're making money off of it.
Yeah,
well, why not just reanimate it?
But you know what? Here's the thing: we have to understand it's just a business anyway.
Yeah, well, totally.
It's funny because I hear this all the time. It's like, oh, it's for the art. It's for the art. It's for the art. Yeah, sorry guys, it's a business.
No, it is a business. Yeah.
I mean,
which is why it's sad that there's so many streaming services, because I can't find the good movies that I can find on Netflix, DVD, mail delivery.
There are an awful lot of people that make this business their art. Don't get me wrong, I understand that.
Or make this art their business.
Nobody knows that better. Anyway, but at the same time, I mean, overall, I remember it being said one time. I got into an argument with a producer because we were making a TV movie, and as a matter of fact, I think it was Strays, and it was all about 30 cats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the director said that he desperately on Friday he needed for Monday, he needed like the living room to be repainted. He needed another color. and I said, well, I mean, maybe you should just change the lighting a little bit, and we'll call it another place. And
wow.
I said, no, we need to make the walls another color. And I turned to the producer and I said, well, it's a tie. You can call the tie either way you want. And he says, well, he says, I am a producer, and if one way it doesn't cost me any money, that's the way that we're going to do it over the weekend.
Awesome. I love that.
Which is, he was the one that reminded me.
It's a business.
Yeah, he reminded.
And that was an amazing movie. It was like an award. Didn't they win Oscars for that one?
Strays. Yeah, they pissed in the cup. Yeah.
No, SETI sign. Props.
No, yeah. Props.
I like some of the props. They should have won awards for those jars. There's a guy out there right now going, yeah, Strays, it's awesome.
Believe me. I was working on this film. I'm in Minnesota, outside of St. Paul, up in the woods out there, where the ticks ride around on top of the mosquitoes, and you know, with little goggles.
Yeah, right.
And I'm telling you, there was a guy that was doing makeup. He was amazed to meet me, and it was really funny the interactions with him. But but at one point he goes like this. He goes, uh, oh, somebody else sitting around at the end of the day. Somebody else says, "So what's the worst film you've ever done?" And I said, "I don't know. There's so many." But
There's so many bad ones, or there's so many
so
films.
many bad ones. No, so many bad ones. And I said, "How about Frankenstein and the College Years?" And I'm not kidding. This guy who's doing our makeup, which I found scary, goes, "Oh my God." He says, "Did you have something to do with that?" I said, "Oh, I was the production designer on it. A good friend of mine actually was the monster because he was helping paint the sets one day, and somebody said, "Gosh, you're really tall," because he was like 6 foot.
That is the funniest thing.
Yeah, and he says, "You know, you're tall enough that you could play Frankenstein in this thing." So he tried out for it and he got it. So
See, next time you're doing a movie, have me painting a set, and they'll say, "Oh my God, that guy's
oh my
handsome."
God, that guy's so handsome. Yeah, yeah. Sure, that's gonna happen. So anyway, so I go, "Yeah, no, I production designed that," and this guy went nuts. He said, "I had a copy of that and me and my sister, all through my parents' divorce." That would be the film that we would go to.
Wow.
They had a tape of it, and they would bond on you know, Frankenstein the College Years.
Wow.
And so I actually had my friend who was the monster actually text him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Talk to him about it. Yeah,
That's cool.
But it goes to show you, you know, one man's turd is another's perfume, and also you never can tell if you're the one that laid that particular turd.
Well, I think you made fun of me once because I told you one of my favorite movies was Book of Love, and my friend Brian and I used to watch that movie all the time. We couldn't figure out what to rent from the movie store. We'd get Book of Love. That was our go-to.
Oh God, that's just so weird.
And your sister worked on that, so
designer, and I worked on it. Yeah, I
know.
Yeah. Hey, so
and you would think that's a turd, but I like it. I would probably watch it again now.
Yeah, it's still a marginal film. You
know, and then, of course,
when I go back and say that, you know, in that period, like one of the best films that I made was The Hidden. Now that is a film that most people don't know, but when they see it, they go, "Oh yeah, well that's
a great one." Yeah,
it's a great film. It's the sleeper of all time.
But if I had a choice between The Hidden and Book of Love,
Really?
Probably. It's one of those like kind of guilty pleasures, I guess you would say. Maybe
that's embarrassing for you. So anyway, now rate the film.
Well, let me say a couple things that besides her running through the hallway, which obviously she must have had to run backwards, because if they had to reverse the film, so that was pretty amazing that she did
that. Yeah, no, I know exactly the shot that you're talking about. It was really interesting. It was.
But so anyway, the set design and the way that his eyes sparkled when they first looked into each other's eyes. Yeah. I thought the whole movie was like a dream, and actually I really enjoyed this movie. I think it was actually the best live action fairy tale I've ever seen. I think it's worth watching. And actually, you know, like I said, it's kind of like I think my mind would have been blown away if I was a kid watching this. So I think it would have been. Actually, I think I really enjoyed this so much that I would give it 5 stars. Honestly,
I would probably have to give it 4 stars. I thought it was amazing. The thing that I kept getting blown away by is all of the references that, and it's impossible to list them now, but if you watch it, you go, "Oh, well, that was that's you can tell all the things that were either alike or were just stolen off of it. There was homage. Let's say this. there's an awful lot of films that I have a feeling took homage off of this because it was French, and it would probably been difficult to get a hold of.
And by the way, the French are overlooked a lot. I mean, I think that some of the most amazing films that I've seen are French movies, and they have a certain quality, like cinematically, like what am I trying to say? They're really good with magic, like tricks in camera, things like that. And
Right.
I mean, just some of this, there were special effects in here. Who needs CGI? I mean, this was pretty amazing actually for when it was made, and in the fact that it was made right after World War II was over.
Yeah.
And by the way, I did want to share some trivia that I found, which is pretty awesome. So since it was right after the war, they had trouble finding cameras, and their cameras kept jamming. They had electrical blackouts all through the production. They couldn't find stock, so they had all these different kinds of film stock. And the director actually tried to say, well, it kind of added to the poetry of the movie, all the different film stock. But you can see, if you look at it closely, you can kind of see different scenes.
You can see that it was that was a little bit podged together, but they really, I mean,
they had to find fabric. They had to like basically scrounge for fabric because there was nothing around.
But you could also tell that it was definitely done by a bunch of people that were more theater based than
absolutely
film based.
Well, also I was also reading that they did the outside scenes. They based it on the French version of Don Quixote, the illustrations in that book.
Right.
So they made it look like that. And then that castle was actually a real place. It was filmed outside the Chateau de la Roche, which is a historic location there.
You could see when they built the staircase. There was a staircase there. The exterior of that staircase was built, but you could also tell that they would pan off of that, and you could just kind of see that they were in the ruins of a place that was looking onto another set of ruins that was a castle. Right?
No, totally, yeah. Plus, this was the director. He actually had a skin condition, so he had to I guess partway through the production, he had to go to the hospital. So they had another director come in. So it was actually directed by two people, which I thought was interesting. And then my favorite trivia tidbit was that when that part where the beast is laying next to the stream and he's like too weak to drink out of it, right?
Right.
That was actually a sewage runoff from behind the studio. And I think I saw a moment where
maybe that's what made the director sick. You don't know.
Well, I saw the moment where Belle ran up to him, and it almost looked like she was like from the smell.
Oh no!
But anyway, so I recommend this movie to anybody who likes, I don't know, post-war fairy tales.
I have to say that if it is so interesting to see this film and look at all the elements that were used later on. It looks like it was dissected a million times by American filmmakers.
Guillermo del Toro loves this movie.
Right? Exactly.
Can you tell?
There's so many bits of the scenery, bits of the script, bits of the acting, some of the practical effects. I mean, the Hall of Hands was Repulsion 3 years later. Yeah. No, actually, Repulsion was in the early 60s. So,
well, it's like you said, this movie actually took me away from myself. I was like in the movie, like I was there, and so it carried me away, and that's one reason why I give it 5 stars. And you could tell that they were making this post-war. They probably wanted to uplift people a little bit because I'm sure France back then in 1945 probably was pretty depressing.
It did have a certain French kind of sense of a sense of the spirit of death.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I didn't appreciate was the way that the beast walked.
Yeah.
It was a little distracting. Or pranced, I guess.
Yeah, prance. Yeah. You know who he reminded me of? And I know this is going to sound dumb, but he looked like Prince.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Liberace.
No.
That's what I was thinking of.
No, he moved more like Prince.
Oh, okay. Well, the high heels.
Oh, well.
Because Prince used to wear high heels.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. But Prince had a certain elegance that was not feminine. It wasn't feminine, and it wasn't.
Right.
It was.
And he kind of dressed the same.
Yeah. Yeah,
Too bad
exactly.
Prince isn't around. We could totally remake this with him in it.
Totally. Why wouldn't we?
Right.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Is that it? Are you
I'm
done?
done.